Hey everyone! In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you the update of how I decorate my silver tinsel Christmas tree. I first did this video a few years ago, right after I started decorating this tree, but through the years I found some additional techniques and some products that I think really take it up another level, and so that's what you're going to get to see here today. But for those of you that are new to my channel, hi, my name is Catherine, and I absolutely love decorating for the holidays. If you happen to love decorating for the holidays as well, then I hope you'll consider subscribing. But now let's go ahead and jump right in with the first step, which is going to be setting up the Christmas tree. This is a 7.5-foot silver tinsel tree that I purchased from At Home a few years ago, and it does come pre-lit with these warm white lights. So to set it up, I do have the first two sections of the tree already kind of in place, but I still need to spread out the branches and fluff them. In addition, because tinsel trees have a tendency to be a little more sparse than other trees, you can actually see through this tree quite a bit, but I don't want that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this silver mesh to the tree as I'm fluffing, and I'm going to basically run it on the inside of the tree, and that way your eye can't see as easily through the tree. So to fluff, I'm going to start from the bottom layer and I'm going to work my way up and just go around and around, making sure that I'm spreading out each of the branches, really splaying out all of the tips, and then pushing in this silver mesh within the inside of each of those layers. Now as I get to the top, I don't worry too much about fluffing up there because the type of tree topper that I do is going to cover up a bit of that anyway, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Now as I got to the top, I didn't continue using this up there, and that's not because I'm not going to, but the natural width that this comes in is just a little too wide to really be able to push that in and have it look kind of airy and natural like I want. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of one of the extra ones that I have, fold it in half, and then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut it to the new width that I want. And so now I have something that I can more easily wind around here that's not quite as bulky, but still produces the desired effect. Alright, now I have the tree fully fluffed. It doesn't mean I won't still tweak it as I go and then again at the very end, but for now, this is the general idea of how the tree should look once it's fluffed. Now typically when I'm setting up and fluffing the tree, I would take that opportunity to add some additional lights that twinkle on the inside of the tree, in addition to the lights that already come on the tree. But because this tree is silver tinsel, it's a little harder to find twinkle lights on a good color wire. And I actually have something that's a little different than just a long strand of lights. They're these real interesting lights that come on a stem like this, and then there's a bunch of different strands that come out and can kind of cascade down the tree. Now the past couple of years, I've just used white lights for my twinkle lights. However, I was doing some after Christmas shopping last year, which I love to do every year, and I actually found the lights in a multicolor twinkle, and I thought that this tree would be perfect for that. So I'll take this moment just to explain a little bit of the overall theme that I'm going for on this tree. So because it's a silver tree and it's in our game room, which of course is kind of a fun room with lots of color, I use that opportunity to kind of bring out the kind of retro feel of old-timey Christmas trees. So this tree is going to have lots of color on it, and therefore I think the multicolor lights is kind of a nice add. So this is going to be my first year doing it with the multicolor lights, so hopefully I like it, but I'm pretty sure that I will. And so here's a bit of a closer look at how these lights are constructed. There's this little wand right here, and then there's a nice long wire with the plug that I just took the opportunity a minute ago to go ahead and snake down the middle of the tree so you don't see it. That's another reason why I love this silver mesh fabric, is because it hides the guts of the tree, so all of the plugs and all of that I don't have to worry about seeing in what is otherwise a little bit of a sparse tree. Alright, now I'll go ahead and unwind these. And you have to be really careful with these. While they're really, really cool, they do tangle up super easily because the wire is so flexible and it bends, and so it will tangle. But I believe there are 10 different strands on here that all originate out of this wand. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick this wand up at the top and just secure it with some of the tinsel branches, and then I'm gonna spread each of these wires out around the tree and kind of space them, and once I have that done, I will then kind of push those into the tree a little bit. I don't want them all staying on the outside. I do want to have the twinkle coming from within.
Many hours later.
Every year I use these, I think I'm going to do better the next time I use them and be more patient unwinding them, but I do not. When I'm done with these each season, I do wrap each strand up individually with its own twist tie, and that way when I go to use it again the next year, it is a little bit easier to use, but still not totally. Okay, so what I'm doing with this last strand is I'm going to kind of keep it out of the way for a minute because I want to save some of this one for use up in the tree topper, which is going to be the thing that we do next. But in the meantime, I'm going to make sure that these are pretty well spaced out, and then I'm just going to kind of weave them in and around and down the tree in each of their kind of sections. With the last strand still coiled up, I'm just going to kind of move that down for now because we're going to move on to working on the tree topper. And so I'm going to have a very whimsical tree topper. So for that, I'm going to use several different stems. So I have a cluster of stems that I have previously wired together with pipe cleaners here. And then I have some other stems that are of different sizes that I'm going to add in as well. So basically, for the ideal tree topper in this style, you want probably at least 3 or 4 different types of stems that have varying shapes, colors, weights, visual interest in order to make it look the most impressive. So to get started, I'm going to take this grouping that's already wired together and I'm going to run it down the center stem or center rod of the tree and then secure it with pipe cleaners. I'm going to then come back and move on to the other part of the tree topper, which is going to be bows. And so this is going to be how I kind of integrate the tree topper into the rest of the tree and kind of cover up and integrate it just a little bit better. So I have 4 of these bows made out of 2 different ribbons that I'm going to echo throughout the body of the tree as well. But I have 4 of these that I'm going to basically use to rim around the bottom of the tree topper. And once again, these have been tied off with pipe cleaners and I'll use the pipe cleaners to attach to the tree. I do have a full tutorial on how to make bows, including multi-ribbon bows, that I will link to in the description box as well as put up in the eye up here. So that way, if you would like to see a more comprehensive tutorial, you can jump over and do that. I'm going to then come back and add some of my additional stems as needed. So what I'm doing with this last strand is use up in the tree topper. I completed the tree topper and now I'm going to move on to adding the ribbon to the body of the tree. And for that I have 4 different ribbons. 2 of the ribbons are the same ones that I used up in the bows for the tree topper, and that'll just give me continuity throughout the tree. And then I am introducing 2 different ribbons and some coordinating colors, a little bit different texture and a little wider width as well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair up the ribbons using 1 each from the tree topper to layer in with one of the new ribbons that I'm introducing. Since I have used these ribbons on the tree before, these are cut already for how I used them last year. So they've basically been cut into lengths either around 5 to 6 feet long or lengths of 2 to 3 feet long, depending on where I'm putting them in the tree. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate starting up at the top, and I'm going to kind of weave in and around, doing a little bit of a zigzag pattern as I go. Each time I zig, I'm going to tie it off with the branch of the tree, and then I'm going to come down, and then I will go to the next spot and I will use the different color combo there. we've got the ribbon on the tree, it's time for the rest of our picks. I've got a few different types of picks, once again, mostly mimicking what's going on in the tree topper to add that continuity throughout the body of the tree. So I'm gonna add these basically one type at a time. That way I make sure that I'm kind of equally distributing throughout the tree. And the great thing about the picks is I'll just run the spines down the branches. I may use the branch to secure if needed, but for the most part, you can just kind of poke them in place and they'll stay where you put them. Now it is finally time to move on to ornaments, and I have a lot of ornaments for this tree, but I'm going to start with what I like to call filler ornaments. These are typically very repetitive, very inexpensive ornaments, and typically they will be things that are appropriate to stick more on the inside of the tree. And so what I like to do a lot of times when sticking something on the inside of the tree is to choose something shiny, because that's going to bounce your eye back so you don't really see through it as much. Also, it just provides a lot of interesting depth because it gives your eye lots of things to look around at as it moves around the tree. Now, a couple of tips for adding ornaments. First of all, I like to leave hooks on as much as possible when I store them, so when it's time to pull them out and decorate the next year, it saves me time in having to put hooks. Obviously, with some of the more breakable ones, I may not do that, but especially with inexpensive ones, that's going to speed up this process a lot. The second is there is a best way to hang ornaments from the tree, and that is basically to have the ornament hang as closely to the branch from which it's hung as possible. But what you're going to do is you're going to place the ball right underneath the branch from where you want to hang it, and take that hanger and just fold it around so that way the ball just nestles very closely to the tree. Now, once again, to place the ornaments, I am going to intersperse throughout the tree, making sure that I do get a lot of them more on the inside of the tree, not just the outside. We're going to now move on to what I consider kind of quasi-filler ornaments, in that these are still pretty repetitive, meaning I have a lot of them, but they do start to get a little prettier, a little more interesting. These are going to go a little bit more on the outside of the tree, although I still may reserve some to kind of tuck in some places where I feel like the eye is able to go too deep in. Alright, we are on the home stretch, so now we are going to finally get to the specialty ornaments. And for this tree, I have some really beautiful ornaments. First, I have a couple of boxes of these shiny bright ornaments, which, while new, are supposed to look like kind of those vintage ornaments. And these are glass, and so I always wait to put them on until the very end just because they are breakable, so I don't want to knock them and have them fall down. And then in addition, I do have a variety of other unique one-of-a-kind ornaments on the tree, things that friends have given me. Well, as a matter of fact, this is an ornament of the TV show Friends, but that friends have given me, or have come from travel, or other things that just have a lot of meaning for me. And this is a great tree to put all of those items on because it really can handle pretty much any color that there is on it. So I'll find really great places at the tips of branches, front and center, for all of these special ornaments. And sometimes I may even move existing ornaments around to make sure I get these beautiful ornaments in just the right place. Itself is decorated, but the last step is to decorate underneath the tree. And so for that, I have this green tree skirt, and I never like to have a bear underneath of the tree. So I always have either empty boxes wrapped in coordinated wrapping paper, or other kinds of figurines or things that would coordinate with the tree. But for this tree, I just have a few presents already wrapped to go perfectly with this tree. And here's the completed tree. I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment and let me know. And while you're in the comments, I'd also love it if you would let me know from where you're watching. That's one of my favorite things to do each holiday season, is a little bit of a roll call and find out where everybody's located. And if you leave me a comment, I'll be sure to say hi back. But if you've enjoyed this video or found it useful, it would be great if you could give this video a thumbs up, or maybe even subscribe if you haven't already. Both of those things are super helpful to me here on my channel because it tells YouTube that you find value in my content, and therefore others might as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a very merry holiday season, and until next time, bye.